All right, all right. Let's see here. Put a little more juice into my microphone. Hello, 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 hello. Okay. Hi, everybody. I'm Nelson Late. Welcome to another Late Show, the special European vacation edition. I'm Nelson Late, and with you guys live here on YouTube on December 24th, 2025, Christmas Eve. A very rainy and windy Christmas Eve here in the valley in Turlock. And depending where you guys are watching, you may or may not have to deal with this weather. We are dealing with some crazy weather next couple of days, heavy rains as well as heavy wind, and maybe even a threat of possible tornadoes, which is something very rare here in where we live in Cali. I'm trying to see if the sound is coming out. Well, the volume is good. So if we could get some feedback on that, cool. Looks like we're doing good. So welcome, welcome, welcome. A lot to talk about. Telling you about this vacation that I just came back from, about 3 weeks worth of time off, which was well due, and it was an interesting trip. Originally with my girlfriend Sandra Carvello, we had planned to go to Portugal and Spain. It worked out. Spain was our first destination because of the cost of flying to Europe. Flying to Lisbon would have been a lot more expensive. So flying to Barcelona was a fraction of the price. And then we decided, why not do both? Fly to Barcelona, meet with my brother there who lives there, and also my niece, and be able to then fly to Portugal for a little while and meet up with the rest of the family and be able to explore some of the beautiful countries and just amazing, amazing, relaxing time. My kids decided to do something on their own, but then they decided to meet us there. So their version of it was a little shorter than ours. But either way, we all had a great time, the four of us, and a lot for you to tell you about our good, the bad, the ugly, and the beautiful of all those countries. So we will start with Spain. Just a reminder, you guys could interact with us live during our broadcast here on the Palma chat group right there on YouTube. So if you're not on the YouTube actual channel, like on the YouTube website, if you're just watching the player that I spread through Facebook, if you click on that window, it'll actually open up the website for YouTube, and you guys could actually participate live with me, ask questions and make comments, everything. You could do it interactively live with me. So let's start with Spain. So we're going to break down all the three countries, Spain, Portugal, and Italy, in that order, the order that we actually visited them. Of course, Portugal, most of you are Portuguese or have been to Portugal once. So you know quite a bit about it. Spain, I had been to Spain before, but northern Spain, just north of Portugal. And I had never been to the Barcelona area, the Basque area, which is a completely different animal. There's a couple of things that surprised me. So, first, let's talk about Barcelona. What a beautiful city it is, without a doubt. Historic, very, very beautiful. A lot of interesting monuments to look at, a lot of interesting points of interest. Mass transit was the way to go. We did use the subway systems out there, which makes it a lot easier to get around. It's a fraction of the cost than renting a car. I actually rented a car, but for our exploration of Barcelona, we decided to go with the metro subway, which at first seemed very confusing, almost like a New York City type of subway with letters and numbers and all kinds of different routes. Once you get to understand it and learn it, it's very easy to get around, and we could thank Google Maps for that. Google, of course, allows us to enter a takeoff point and a destination point, and it'll tell you the easiest way to get there. It'll even tell you times of trains and buses and all those schedules. So it makes it a lot easier to do, a lot easier than to drive around. Of course, fuel in Europe is a lot more expensive than the United States, but then there's also the added costs of parking and all of those extra things. So if you have a way to just get around with the subway and buses, it's the easiest way. We did do the mass transit. We did use the subway mostly, and it was very affordable. We had a pass that was good for 10 trips, and I want to say that was about 10 euros. Yeah, I want to make sure that that is correct. So it was about 10 euros each. And for 10 euros, you could do 10 trips, 10 trips within, whatever days you're there. The good thing about it is if you are on a train and you need to change different lines to go to a different location of the city, as long as you don't get out of the train station, you could change as many times as you want, and it'll only count as that one trip. So you don't get charged every time you change the train. You do get charged every time you walk out of the train station and then you go back in. Curious fact that our very first train trip, we got in, we have to go through the turnstiles, the electronic turnstiles. And when we got out of the train to get out to the street, there was a bunch of police and a bunch of people checking on people, and they were asking for everybody's ticket, ours included. And they were scanning on these little devices because apparently a lot of people do jump turnstiles and they just sneak in. And then as they were getting out of the train, they thought they were free and clear. Guess what? Before you exit the actual station, they were getting inspected and they were getting fined 100 euros for something that costs a fraction of that. So not worth cheating. It's cheap as it is. Best way to get about. Very affordable. It's affordable to get around Barcelona. Um, that's the good. Let me tell you something else that's good about Barcelona. The people, very nice people. We went through all kinds of locations. The English did bail us out quite a bit because I am Portuguese. I do get around with my Spanish. But the biggest curveball that we got, in my opinion, was in Barcelona, the Basque country. They don't really like to speak Spanish. They've been fighting this quote unquote civil war for independence for a long time. They do not like Spain. They want to be independent. They want to be their own country, and they speak their own dialect, which is a weird combination of Spanish and French. Some words are actually similar, more similar to Portuguese than Spanish is, but the majority of them just sounds completely different. So I was very, very lost. And if you speak Spanish to them, the majority of them will respond in Spanish. But the older folks, as Sandra found out, she walked into this bakery, and this was an older lady there that was probably the owner. She did not speak Spanish at all. She only spoke Basque, and that kind of created a conflict, to get her to explain yourself. And also, the older lady didn't speak English either, so still managed to get by. That was probably the only time that we had an issue with the language. Other than that, pretty much smooth sailing, easy to visit, easy to enjoy. Now it's time for the bad stuff, right? So I already mentioned the language was a bit of a struggle. I got to tell you something. Growing up in Newark, New Jersey, and for those of you who could relate, there's a lot of Portuguese, Spanish restaurants. One of my favorites back in the day was Iberia Peninsula. I actually got married there, and it's Portuguese and Spanish food. So when you talk about Portuguese and Spanish food and you're used to eating all these different dishes, you think, okay, this is Portuguese, that's Spanish, like the paella, Spanish, blah, blah, blah. But you don't realize until you actually get to Spain, or again, I'm going to talk about Barcelona only, how different their food is from even Portuguese food. And I don't mean different in good, I mean different in bad. The seasoning, sorry guys, but the seasoning sucked. Spain, you guys need to work on your seasoning. I remember I had a steak there that I swore was cooked in water because it had absolutely no flavor whatsoever. And I put a bunch of salt and some pepper on it, did nothing to it. The seasoning is just bland, very bland. So if you guys are planning on going to visit that region, at least be prepared that the food is not amazing. Good quality, yes, but the seasoning there's a lot to be desired when it comes to the seasoning. So that was a bit of a negative surprise because I thought that most of the food was pretty similar to the Portuguese food. It is not. Fortunately for us, my brother is a great cook and he made some amazing dishes. He made carne por la lenciana, which has nothing to do with Spanish, but hey, it was amazing. And then he did make the traditional Spanish paella. And he did not hold back on the seasoning. It was just a ton of seasoning and it was amazingly good. So beware with that. Might be a little disappointed with the food in Barcelona. Another thing that really bothered us, and this is not only in Barcelona, but this is pretty much in general, pretty much in Europe. Portugal, the same thing, but we saw it a lot in Barcelona. People do not curb their dogs. I don't understand why they don't. I'm sure some do, but the majority do not. So as you walk through these beautiful sidewalks and just enjoying the view, if you're not really looking down, chances are you're going to be stepping on dog shit, and that's not going to be a fun experience. I don't understand why they don't. It's just, I guess, a culture thing. They just let their dogs shit anywhere and walk away from it. So that did bug me a little bit because it's kind of across the board. You see it everywhere, you know. So get used to that. Speed limits. Speed limits are very weird over there because, like I said, I did rent a car and I did drive for a little bit. Speed limits, of course, they're in kilometers, so that takes a little adapting, but just for a couple of minutes, then you got to get used to it. But the speed limits will drop and increase within seconds. So you could be doing 120 kilometers an hour, which is roughly about 75, and all of a sudden from 120, it'll drop to 100, and then it'll drop to 80 within just a few feet from just back to back. And the weird thing about that is that they have a lot of radars around, and it's almost like speed traps where they'll just drop 20 kilometers an hour, and within, I don't know, 500 feet from that drop, there's already a radar waiting to get you before you actually slow down. So those were everywhere. Same thing with increases, but increases don't affect you as much because unless you're, milking it on the left lane, which a lot of people in the United States do, you cannot do that in Europe. In Europe, everybody wants to get the heck out of Dodge. So you got to get out of that left lane. Sometimes even the middle lane you got to get out of. The slower you are, the more to the right you should be. Plain and simple. Love that system, Europe. I wish we could do more of that in America. But yeah, those speed limits just change within seconds of each other. So that kind of sucked. I hope I didn't get any tickets because those radars work with image, with a camera, and then they send you the bill home. There won't be any points or anything, but they got the rental car information, so they'll probably take from my deposit, which I hope that's not the case. I think I did okay. Now, talking about the deposits, this is another thing that we came across, mostly in Spain, but Portugal has it too. When you rent a car, they want a massive deposit, depending on who you rent from, especially if you go with lesser no-name brand rental car companies. They could ask you for as much as 1,500 to 3,000 euro deposit on your credit card. Now, it's a credit card. It's a deposit. They put it back as soon as the car is returned. That's not the issue. The issue is, I almost choked on my spit. The issue is if you are really like planning on using a credit card for expenses, and in our case, we went to Portugal and Spain, Spain and Portugal in that order. Putting a deposit may take a week or two to clear when they return it, so you're kind of stuck without that money for that time. So unless you have a very large, credit card limit, which could also be dangerous because if, God forbid, something happens to that credit card, then you're stuck with all that limit that you can't use. So the deposits are exaggerated. 1,500, 2,000, 3,000 euro, which is over $3,000. Not that the dollar's kind of in the tanker. At another 20 cents, 25 cents per dollar for the euro. So 1 euro is like a 125 at this point. So that stuff adds up pretty quickly. I did notice that bigger brand car insurance, car rental agencies don't charge as much for the deposit, but then they also charge you more for the car. That's the offset. Insurance is not mandatory, but you should get it. If you get it in advance. Like if you book in through Expedia, they have their own, or you could do your own research online. But if you don't, and they try to sell it to you at the airport when you're picking up your car, you are going to pay a lot more for that car insurance. It's just, that's how they make their money. That's how they make their money in the US. That's how they make their money everywhere else. That car insurance is where they make the more money. And that's exactly what they're going to try to do to you. All right. The beautiful and the ugly of Barcelona. Beautiful, the Sagrada Familia. Oh my God, what a beautiful building. This historic cathedral that they've been building for over 200 years. That's right. You heard it correctly. Over 200 years. It's not ready yet. They expect it to be ready by 2026. Who knows if that'll happen? Unbelievable building. Just if you have no idea what that looks like, Google it, and it's just a massive, gorgeous building that's been built for over 200 years. You'll see walls that are the older color, and then the ones that are newer because of the different construction going on over 2 centuries that's been taking them. If you want to visit on the inside, we didn't have a chance to because you really have to buy tickets in advance. I mean, like weeks in advance. We decided to go in that same day, and there was no tickets available, so we had to take a rain check. Hopefully next time. The monastery, which I cannot recall the name for the life of me, I have to look it up. With a beautiful rock formation up in the mountains as well in Barcelona, another beautiful, beautiful site to visit. The ugly in Barcelona, which we were warned about quite a bit, and actually had a little incident that happened. It wasn't really an incident, but could have turned into an incident. Pickpocketing. Yes, pickpocketing in Barcelona is rampant, out of control. It happens everywhere in Europe, but in Barcelona, it seems to be a lot more. And there was one instance where we actually stopped for a walk. We were taking a walk through the city, took a little break. We stopped at a park, a public park, and there was 2 guys. One guy approached me, and the other guy kind of sat down across, kind of his watchdog, I would think. And this guy approached me. He looked suspicious. His lip was kind of busted with blood. I guess he tried to rob somebody and got punched in the face. Now that I think about it. But he came up to me speaking a very weird English, saying, "Hey, can I borrow?" Because he saw me on the phone. Can I borrow your phone to look at directions to get to blah blah blah? And he mentioned a weird name, and I said, "Well, what is it? I'll look it up for you." Montserrat. There it is. Sandra has bailed me out. I appreciate it, honey. So he wanted to get the directions to this location, and guess what? I didn't give him my phone. He was trying to let me, try to grab it so he could punch it in. I'm like, no, let me type it in. And he couldn't spell it, obviously, because he was making it up, or he just couldn't spell because that wasn't the point. He wanted me to give him the phone. And again, it went on and on and on, and I started losing my patience. And he tried to reach out to the phone that first time. When he tried to reach out for the phone the second time, and I had like a claw grip on my phone, I just got up and I said, I'm done. Goodbye. I'm out. And his buddy even reacted like, what just happened? So be very, very careful. They do go for wallets. They do go for phones. They'll go for anything they could grab. Be very careful. If you want to visit, I'm not telling you not to, because it is a nice place to visit, but buy yourself one of those pouches that go across your body. In the winter, we had sweaters, so we actually had it under the sweater, extra protection, especially to carry documents and everything. Be very, very careful with that. So that is Spain. And before we moved on to Portugal, make sure you guys stay tuned, because at the end of this program, I'm going to have a huge announcement for a new program that's going to launch next week, a pilot that's going to launch next week that we're very excited about. So stay tuned. All right, Portugal. What is good about Portugal? Wow, everybody knows. So if you are a Azorian person that's never been to the mainland, I have not been to the Azores yet. I apologize. I haven't had the chance. Plan on doing that soon. But I went to the mainland, Lisbon area. Then we went to Ferreira dos Reis area, which is Tomar region, Ribatejo. We weren't there for a long time. We got to spend more time with the family than sightseeing. But I got to take, my kids and Sandra to go see some things that the kids had seen. She hadn't. And some cool experience. So what's good about Portugal? Well, we went in Christmas time. Of course, Christmas lights, gorgeous. So the way they set up the city with all the Christmas lights and all the Christmas themed locations, very beautiful. Praça do Comércio is all dressed up. They have a very large Christmas tree, very beautiful. Just really nice to take pictures and enjoy. Christmas lights are just unbelievable in Lisbon at this time of the year. Food, of course, food in Portugal. Who doesn't like Portuguese food? Come on, let's just be honest. I mean, we had it all from steaks to bacalhau to seafood, everything in between. One of the things I was really craving, and kudos to my cousins who actually bought a ton of it before we showed up. I always had a thing for pão ice cream, which is, mean, if you don't know what perna pao is, it's vanilla with strawberry stripes on the inside and then chocolate covering on the outside. Look up perna pao if you're not familiar with it. It is amazing. And then now they make a corneta out of perna pao. So we got to eat both to our heart's content, a ton of it. Of course, ovsmol's one of my favorites. And I actually bought an extra box that we will be able to enjoy tonight for Christmas Eve. So Sandra's saying my first time trying it, and it was really good. It really is good. I could eat those things all day. But it is definitely, the food is definitely amazing. The desserts out of this world. Pastries are out of this world. Sandra also had a chance to try for the first time pastéis de Belém, not to be confused with pastéis nata. Very similar, but pastéis de Belém are in a different level, especially when you go to this particular place in Belém from the 1800s and you order them right out of the oven, nice and warm. You could put some cinnamon on it, some powdered sugar on it. Amazing to eat. If you ever had one, if you ever go to Lisbon, you got to do it. And Sandra said, OMG, so amazingly good. Yes, it definitely is. She tried one and she ended up ordering a second one because she liked it so much. So, yes. Food, desserts, all that good stuff. Bad about Portugal. So, in that Lisbon region, which is where I pretty much was raised before I came to the United States, Amadora Sintra line, which is the train station. So you go from Rocio all the way to Sintra. That whole, Queluz, Amadora, Belas, Cacém, Agova Cacém, where I grew up. Just not a good area. A lot of crime, very dense, very overpopulated. And you do not want to be hanging out there certain times of day or night, especially at night. I know a lot of people even refuse to take the public transportation after 9 p.m. because there's a lot of people getting robbed and stuff like that. So it is sad that our country has come down to this, but crime is everywhere. Let's just be honest. But something to keep in mind when you do decide to visit the mainland, especially certain areas of Lisbon. We did visit a lot of monuments. Torre de Belém, for the second time in 4 years, was out of service. I went there 4 years ago with the kids. They were doing some kind of rebuild on it. And unfortunately, this time around, same thing. They had scaffolding everywhere. Bummer, because that's my favorite Portuguese monument. Politics in Portugal are also shockingly, and they're running right now a campaign for president. So I'm not going to discuss politics all day here. Those of you know me pretty well, know which side of politics, the politics spectrum I'm on. Not going to get into that. It's not going to be that type of show. But there's a lot of right-wing influence in Portugal, and things are a little weird in Portugal these days compared to I remember before. And there's some baking going on in my kitchen here. In case that's what you're wondering, that's actually the oven going for Christmas Eve. It's all good. So, yeah, just keep that in mind. Even politics is kind of a thing in Portugal. People are divided even there. So it's kind of sad. Pricey sightseeing, yes. Some of the sightseeing in Portugal is a little out of hand price-wise. Very expensive. Any monument you want to visit, they charge. They used to be like just a tiny amount for you to visit. Now it's 15 euros, 20 euros. Anywhere you go to go visit a museum or a historic site, they just charge a lot of money, which I think it's way too much. But since especially Lisbon has exploded with all this tourism and a lot of people that moved into the city now permanently, a lot of Americans, a lot of Europeans, like British and whatnot. So the cost is actually going up to visit. Even to visit, Europe is going really expensive, which is sad. But I guess that's what happens when all these people moving in, and Europe's hidden secret, which was Portugal for visiting, for tourism, is not such a hidden secret anymore. So beware that you might need a budget to just go sightseeing these days. Again, mass transit, the way to go. Trains, buses, everywhere you can, subways, definitely the way to go. Now, I want to talk to you guys about TAP Airlines. I hadn't flown TAP in a long time. The only few times that I flew TAP was basically between the United States and Portugal. I've never flown TAP domestically or within Europe. And I got to say, we got tickets to go from Barcelona to Lisbon and Lisbon to Barcelona on TAP. Extremely disappointed. They really, we bought the cheapy tickets. They were in the base of the base ones. They allowed us to check in the bag. We didn't get premium tickets, but that particular aircraft, there was really no luxury tickets, no luxury seats. The seats in the front, which weren't even business class, there was just more leg room. I get it. It's a 1.5 hour flight. So it's not a long distance flight. But that plane was very, very plain. It was a plain plane. No screens, none of that fancy stuff. The thing that did surprise me the most, that I thought was very disappointing, the seats didn't even recline. So I guess those flights are like Spirit Airlines, and I'm not going to badmouth Spirit, but when you buy a Spirit Airlines ticket, you expect it to be cheap in every sense of the word. If they could charge you for oxygen on the plane for you to breathe, they probably would. But I was just disappointed because I did not expect that level of cheapiness from TAP, but it did. So the seats were very uncomfortable, not enough cushion, no recline whatsoever. And they charge you for everything. Now, we complain about American airlines in the United States to do that, where they give you a little snack like chips, and then they give you a drink or water or soda. TAP didn't even do that. They charge for everything. Whether you wanted a bag of chips or anything, they charge you. You wanted water, they charge you for the water. You want a soda, they charge you for the soda. That, to me, was a bit much. The only thing they did give away for free was a little chocolate. And I do mean little. I mean like little. I'm telling you, like maybe the size of my nail, and I'm not exaggerating. That's how tiny this chocolate was. Which I thought it was hilarious. It's basically something you put in your mouth just to give you the taste of chocolate. I don't think that thing even reached my stomach. But TAP, I was very disappointed with TAP on that. So anyway, moving on to, I got my notes here, to Italia. So Italy was just for me and Sandra. My kids flew home that time. So Sandra and I went to Italy, to Rome to be exact. I'm a history buff. And those of you know me, I love history and always had a dream of my favorite historic building of all time was the Colosseum. And same thing for Sandra. She always wanted to see the Colosseum. So we went to Rome mostly for the Colosseum. We had, as a gift to me, kudos to Sandra again. Thank you for that, sweetie. We got a nice, full blown out tour of the Colosseum. And right next to the Colosseum, again, the name slipped my mind of that area that we saw next to the Colosseum, but it's basically old Roman ruins. Very beautiful. Breathtaking, to say the least. So what was good about Italy? Well, food, amazing. Best Italian food ever. It did not disappoint. The pasta was on point. The pizzas were amazing. Pizzas were actually very thin crust and very similar, and I know you guys are going to hate me for saying this, but very similar to New York style pizza. I'm not kidding. Between the pizza I had in Italy compared to any of the pizza I've had in the United States, it is the closest to New York style pizza. So yeah, kudos to the Italians in New York. You guys are doing it traditionally right. Good. So food was amazing. Pastries were amazing. Oh my God, the coffee. Oh God, the coffee was so good. I had tons of espressos and cappuccinos and anything you could think of. I overdosed on caffeine while I was there, or close to it. History. Rome. Sandra's over there cracking up. Rome was just amazing, where, I mean, anywhere you look, there's an historic building. And I don't mean like American historic, like 1800s, 1700s. I mean 2000 years old, before Christ years old. Just amazing history everywhere. Everywhere. It was just crazy. Beautiful things to look at. You can literally walk those streets and you will be amazed every walk that you take. The Colosseum was unbelievable, breathtaking. We got to see all of it, including the dungeons. A very eerie place, very historic place. Amazing to visit. Amazing. Just Gorgeous building. It was neglected for 1,200 years, if you could believe that. And now they're, of course, trying to make it, bring it back the best way they can. It's an historic building, so there's only so much they could do without, you know, changing it too much, which they can't really do. So Sandra's saying it was the Palatine Hill and Roman Forum that we walked through, that historic part by the Colosseum. So that was that. Amazing. Perfect setup. I mean, I can't I can't describe this Coliseum. It was breathtaking. It was better than I imagined it would be. Totally an unbelievable experience. If you ever go there, you got to do it. Make sure you do the full tour, inside and out, in the dungeons. Worth every penny. Continue with the good of Rome and Italy. Transit system, very good transit system. Now, we stayed at the Hilton Garden Inn, not too far from the airport, and there was actually a shuttle, a free shuttle that ran every 15 minutes, 24 hours. A bus that ran every 15 minutes, 24 hours. They left the airport, did a couple of stops, and ended up at the Hilton Garden Inn, and then back. Just a big circle. Free. Absolutely free. We used that to our heart's content. What we would do is we would go to the airport. When we arrived to the airport, got to our hotel, and then the next day and the following day that we went on sightseeing, we would take the shuttle back to the airport. And there's a train station conveniently located at the airport, not a metro, like an actual train station. And there is a nonstop train that would take 28 minutes from the airport to the main city Roman train station, which is an unbelievable station as is. 29 tracks, huge. I've seen airports that are smaller than this train station. 2 levels of a shopping center, just incredible train station. And then from the train station, we got on a big bus, the touristy hop on, hop off. Good investment. It was only about 36 euros, I want to say. But it was well worth it for us, because we could just basically go to all the sightseeing spots, get on, get off. It was just awesome experience. So that is the way to go. If you want to go visit Rome, that's the way to do it. I'm going to give a free plug to the Hilton Garden Inn, because the convenience of getting to the airport, getting a free shuttle to get to the hotel, back and forth, and the train station, all being there and easy, very well, very good. Train ride was 14 euros each way. Still well worth the money. A lot cheaper than getting a Uber or even renting a car. Hop on, hop off bus, like I mentioned, well worth the money. And of course, you get to see the best sightseeing of the city. Nice people everywhere. And just about everybody speaks English. Easy, because my Italian sucks. I can do okay with Spanish. My Italian sucks. So the fact that they all spoke English was just much easier, much easier. We walked a lot, and you should, because if you don't walk, you're kind of missing out on beautiful sightseeing. As you walk those streets, those tight streets with the cobblestones, and just an unbelievable experience. Highly recommend you guys doing it. Let's see. What else am I looking at here? Okay, what's bad? Trying to look at the menus here, at the notes that I made here. Bus at the airport. Why was that a bad thing? I don't know why I put that. Oh, one of the things I was very impressed with, in a bad way, was how slow the service is. Sandra and I sat down for a brunch, and without taking too long to pick the menu, it literally took us 2 hours between sitting down and getting up to leave. 2 hours. The service was extremely slow. They took their time cooking, which is great, but it was just very slow service. And that was just pretty much across the board. If you're in a hurry, you do not want to go eat or something, because it will take forever. Those people they're working at a different pace than we are. They're smart. They're in the right. We're in the wrong. We're the ones that like everything fast and then to go. Over there, you just got to chill. If you're going to go eat something, consider it it's going to take you a long time, because they just take their time. And there's nothing wrong with that. But it's just the way they are. It might just drive us a little nuts at time, but it's the way they do it. Oh, yeah. Now I remember, because thanks to Sandra, the bus at the airport. So when we got to Rome, flying TAP, and you can't blame TAP for this, but it was a pretty full flight. And when we got off the plane, it was one of those old fashioned walk down the stairs and the bus is waiting for you thing. There was two buses, big buses, but there was it two buses to fill with passengers from that plane, and it was way overcrowded. I mean, way. We literally squeezing like we are trying to squeeze in to get in. I barely walked in, like my butt is half a kind of sticking out where the door was, and then there was still people coming in. There was actually a couple with a baby, and I thought, this is I'm a bus driver. I work in a bus company. That would not pass the litmus test for safety. Way overcrowded. They were not going to bring in a third bus at all. I could tell they weren't. They were just waiting for people to get on, almost like, hey, nothing else is coming, just get in. Like Lata na Sardinia, like a sardine can. We just crowded in that bus. So that was not a good experience. Other than that, everything was great in Rome. Overall, in Europe, it was just a great experience. So let's recap, shall we? Fresh food in Europe, amazing. And let me tell you something. We are being poisoned in this country by food. We really are. And we kind of know that food in other countries is better quality, but I took it firsthand as an experience how much different it is. I am diabetic, for those of you who don't know, and I have a monitor that monitors blood sugar constantly. And I know what happens when I eat food in the US, what happens to my blood sugar levels. And I also know what happens, how fast it goes up, how hard it comes down, all of that stuff. In Europe, I ate everything. I didn't hold back. I had a lot of sugars. I had a lot of desserts. Pendant paus out the wazoo. I was having ovsmol, which is basically made with yellow from the egg, and it's sweet. It's got sugar. I was eating everything while I was there for those 3 weeks. My blood sugar was always pretty controlled, which kind of tells me. I mean, even the sodas there, the sugar content in the soda, regular soda, I'm not talking about diet, is still a fraction of what we have in the United States. Huge difference. Huge difference. And I'm going to be full disclosure on this. 3 weeks that I was there eating my ass off, I was just eating away. Did I do a lot of walking? Yes. But still, the amount of food I was intaking, the amount of calories, I can't compare. I put on 1 pound in 3 weeks. 1 pound. Another thing I noticed, the portions are human portions. So it's just enough food for you. And you might think, wow, that's not, the plate comes out. It's like, that's it. Is that all I'm going to eat? The quality is so good and it's so rich in quality that you eat it and you're full and you're good. You kind of forget about it. And then later on, you have another meal or another snack. People are snacking all the time. We were snacking all the time. We were walking, especially through Rome. We're stopping at these coffee shops to have a cappuccino and the dessert and all this other stuff. I forgot what was that thing that Sandra loves so much. Hopefully she could give me the name over here on the chat room. There was this particular pastry that's local to Rome that it was absolutely insane. So it's like a ball of the Berlin type of thing. It was like I don't even know how to describe it. And on the inside is just a bunch of whipped cream. And it's really good. And then there's still filling on the inside of it. Really good. So food is a big difference that I noticed there. The food quality is much better. Food is tastier. Food is healthier. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, unless you experience that yourself, you don't know just how crappy our food is in the United States. It's kind of sad. And now that I realize that, I know why so many people, myself included, are diabetics and have a hard time maintaining it. So Marietosa was the name of that pastry, and it also has custard. So Sandra said, good, so good, one of her favorites for sure. I liked it too. So yeah, the food, guys. And remember, here in the US, you eat a lot of shit, because the ingredients and the additives and preservatives and God knows what else. Not good. Caps on bottles surprised me a lot. Bottled waters and sodas and everything. You open the cap and you kind of flip it, and it sticks there. It kind of holds on to the bottle. You don't just drop the cap. The cap stays on the bottle. It's a simple idea, but it's a good idea. Why can't we fucking do that here? It's simple. It's good. Let's do it. It's good. It's a good idea. It's simple. It's good. Free carts at airports. That's a big one. Free carts at airports, guys. How many times have you flown somewhere in the United States with a lot of bags and you get to your destination and you want to grab one of those carts and they charge you $10 for you to borrow a damn cart? Every single airport in Europe that we went to, those carts are available for free, no charge. You grab, you take it, you go, you drop it off, you leave it. It's it. It's free. Why do we have to charge for everything here? It's ridiculous. Ridiculous. Why do we have to charge for something like that? Welcome to America. Give me your credit card. There's $10 for a damn card you're going to drop off 5 minutes from now. Get the fuck out of here. It's ridiculous. We need to get over that shit. And again, they're free in Europe and every single country that we visited. Maybe there's exceptions. This is my experience in Portugal, Spain, and Italy. Okay? Roundabouts. Yes. Those might take a little getting used to as you're driving, because there seems to be roundabouts all over the place. But guess what? When a roundabout, you don't have to stop at a traffic light and wait around for probably someone that's not going to come or anything. It just makes the traffic quicker, smoother, keeps flowing the traffic. You don't have to stop and go. Better emissions, better fuel mileage, better everything. It takes a little getting used to. Yes, it does. Especially, I know how to use a roundabout. A lot of people in this country, unfortunately, do not understand how a roundabout works. If you're in the circle, you have priority over everybody else. If you're trying to get in the circle, you have to heel to everybody. It's simple. Everybody in Europe knows how to do it. People here will have to learn a lot more how to use them, but I'm surprised we don't have more of them here. Airport gates. Okay, airport gates is something I'm going to criticize. The airports we were in, Lisbon, Barcelona, and even Rome. You don't know what gate you're going to be in until sometimes 10 minutes to boarding time. I don't know why they do that. They'll give you an idea. So let's say there's at an airport, there's areas A, B, C, and D, right? They will tell you might be on A and B, but then they won't tell you until maybe 10 minutes before boarding. Okay, your gate's going to be A23, as an example. So that's kind of weird. Like you're kind of in limbo. I don't know if they're trying to control people from overcrowding the gates or whatever the case may be. I think that's kind of ridiculous. So they could definitely fix that, where they need to tell people in advance which gate you're going to be on. I get there may be changes, but even in the United States, and I fly a lot, sometimes there's a gate change, but you'll know what gate you're going to be on hours prior to your flight. I don't understand why they do it that way, but that's something they do. They could work on that. Again, I mentioned fresh food, low calories, low sugar, just amazing food. Mass transit, the way to go. The subway we were in Barcelona was unmanned, so it was monorail system, all electronic. There was no conductor on there. Little weird at first, but they figured that out. So mass transit is definitely a way to go. If you're in Europe, that's the way you want to use the trains, you want to use the buses. It's the easiest way to get around. It's the cheapest way to get around. That's how everybody gets around. If you want to rent a car, that's fine, but gas is expensive. Tolls are in Portugal, especially in Portugal, ridiculous. Even in Spain, they're kind of pricey. I didn't drive in Italy, so I don't know what the tolls are. But yeah, that's the way to go, guys. Well, I've said a lot. It's been 44 minutes worth of a show. I'll begin to wrap it up here real quick. But before I do, I want to make a very special, a very important announcement here. So this upcoming Monday, which is the 30th, we're going to have a pilot show right here on the Palma YouTube. And we'll create that link real soon. We post it so you can follow it. If you don't already follow us on YouTube, please become a subscriber and you'll be aware of all these things that pop up. But we're going to have a pilot of a program from someone very special in my heart. Sandra Carvello is going to be doing her own podcast. It's going to be a pilot. She is not going to tell, we're not going to tell anybody yet what the show is going to be about. But this upcoming Monday, the 30th at 10 a.m. Pacific, that's 10 a.m. California time, 1 p.m. Eastern. Okay. If you're somewhere else in the world, sorry, I'm not going to do the math, but 8 hours ahead in mainland, I think 7 hours ahead in the Azores, if that's correct. But yes, 10 a.m. Pacific on Monday, right here on our YouTube channel of Palma. Sandra Crivello is going to have our pilot show, and very excited about it because she has recently joined the Palma team and she's been doing an amazing job. She's did a couple of interviews already. And if you guys haven't seen those videos, check out our Facebook page, and you could see all those things. And very excited to have her. And I know she's going to have a lot to talk about. So welcome to Palma, Sandra Crivello. And as she's saying right there on the chat, can't wait to see you all on Monday. So that's it, guys. I'm going to wrap it up right now. I hope you guys enjoyed the program. If you want to send me any messages directly afterwards, I'm looking forward to, interacting with you guys. If you want to ask questions about the whole European experience, I would love to help you, give you guys advice. I hope this helped a little bit. But yeah, I'm going to wrap it up. Wish everybody a Merry, Merry, Merry Christmas. We probably won't talk before New Year's, so Happy New Year to all of you. Big 2026 coming up. For the Palma family, we have the NALT competition coming up in October. We have the entries ending in May. If you're not aware of the NALT competitions, the North America Lose with Talent competition, look at us at naltcompetition.com. Also on the links on the Palma pages. If you have a talent, singing, dancing, musician, comedian, anything, if you have a talent, we want to hear from you. It's a $1,000 grand prize and a huge opportunity for you to be known in the world, not just locally, but worldwide. This is open for all U.S. and Canadian residents. Look us up on social media or on our website, naltcompetition.com, NALT competition.com. We'll be announcing the judges early in 2026. We'll also announce our host for that event. But stay in touch, stay connected, and looking forward to a huge 2026 on the Palma family. I'm going to say goodbye. Merry Christmas from all of us at Palma. Happy New Year from all of us at Palma to all of you in the family. You were all a big family. Don't forget, if you don't already have our app, download our free app for iOS and Android, sponsored by Slow to V. Big shout out Slow to V and my friend Thomas for sponsoring that. Thumbs up, everybody. Adeus, grande abraço a todos. Also, a special shout out to Portuguese Tasty Desserts, who are our biggest fans of our radio station. And we know that a lot of people go there to shop, ask about our radio stations. A big shout out to them as well. Thank you, everyone. I had too many people to thank. Love you all. See you guys in 2026. Bye, everybody.